Dad's with us. David Hutchison, as always, overseeing the maturity levels of Kevin Woodley and Darren Millard on InGoal Radio, the podcast presented by The Hockey Shop, source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. See, I've already disappointed him, Woody. Dad's already shaking his head with the way I introduced him.
I'm just thinking my family wouldn't agree with you about a maturity level here. Most people in this house say I'm 50-something going on 12. So,
well, it's all relative.
Okay, so you guys are going on 10.
Wow. Thank you for that compliment. Appreciate that.
I did shave off the gray beard, so I'm feeling very good right now.
just the beard. You can just say that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Everybody knows
the gray's implied.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, we got a goalie fight to talk about. And you know the best part about Nedeljkovic and Bobrovsky squaring off in a great tilt was they stayed in the game. You never see that.
Do you know why?
Because they didn't get game misconducts. They weren't the second fight.
They were the only fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They shut down the scrum. When they started fighting, everybody stopped and just watched the goalies.
And nobody saw it coming. Otherwise, they would have stopped. Like, that's the question. Did the officials just not see Bob just use that stealth speed to get in there before any official could break it up? Or was it because they started before they chucked their helmets off? Like, because we've seen attempts at goalie fights of late. They've never been able to get started. The officials have always gotten in the way. So did Bob just start it so quickly they couldn't? Or was it because they didn't throw their helmets off and, you know, they were going before there was no sort of staged like warm-up act where everybody takes their gear off, right? Because you can't take your helmet off if you're a fighter anymore in the NHL. You have to start with your lid on. And
this week's pro tip brought by Kevin Woodley, how to successfully start a goalie fight, sponsored by
the goalie fight people. I don't know. Yeah.
Who would sponsor a goalie fight?
UFC.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It was good. Everybody loved it. I made the joke in private circles. I'll share it here because it's just the reality. Bob got tired of fighting the puck, so he decided to go after somebody else. And we're just kidding. 2-time Stanley Cup winner, like one of the best. But it is interesting to me that, and probably because of the Olympics, like the spotlight that Jordan Binnington is in right now for obviously a season that is nowhere near the expectations for him based on his career. The numbers I have, Bob is basically having an identical season in an identical environment. And I'm not sure I've heard a whole bunch about it. So, but that's one way to get yourself in the spotlight. Start a goalie fight.
If you ask goalies, would they rather have a goal or a scrap? The goal means, I think, a lot to the individual, but you get more notoriety out of a scrap.
That's a good call. We might have to put that one out there. I'm not sure I can get a column out of that one, but that's
like, what would you rather have?
Oh,
even the guys that get beat up or lose the goalie fights still gain all this attention out of it. The goalie goals are fun, but they kind of just fade away.
Well, speaking of goalie goals, did Alex Nedeljkovic not just join the career Gordie Howe hat trick club?
Right. 1 of 5. It's the Ron Hextall hat trick.
Now you got trivia question there. 1 of 5, Darren. We need to know the other 4.
I can do
Chris Osgood.
Yep.
Ron Hextall.
Billy Smith.
He must have been in a fight. Probably with a player.
I don't know whether Billy Smith's in there.
No, Billy Smith is in there.
He is there? Okay. It'd be logical. We'll have the answer throughout the episode because we'll be able to look it up. One of us will look it up and go, it just came to me. It just came.
Doesn't, more notoriety out of the fight, but like history. Like I remember being in the barn when Allmark scored his goal and walking into the room after and being and having all the numbers right after, like because I had to write instantly and having all the numbers and being like, hey man, like you're just what does it mean to be like I can't remember the time, it's like the 8th goalie in NHL history to shoot a puck into the net. And there's been more since then, but to actually shoot a puck into the net, like it is such a small list. I've got to think it's a smaller list than goalie fight.
Who are the 5 guys that have a Ron Hextall hat trick?
How about Mike Smith?
That's a good one.
That's right.
That slipped through my memory.
Which is also,
bandwidth.
If I'm not mistaken, Mike Smith was the last goalie fight prior to Bob and Ned. It was Smith and Talbot. That was the previous. That's how long it had been. So now we're actually maybe that we are in the midst, Darren, of a shifting paradigm. As goalies, as teams pull the other goalie earlier and more often, and goalies are shooting pucks into nets once a season at least for the past couple of, but we're seeing 4 or 5 years in between goalie fights. Maybe the goalie fight's going to become more rare, and it will become more.
It absolutely is.
So it is going to become the bigger deal. Now I got to ask all the goalies. It's on my list today. I'm going into the room and I'm asking, what would you rather have, a goalie goal or a goalie fight?
See, I'm the idea guy.
I appreciate it, Darren.
I can't follow through on any of it, but I have a ton of ideas coming towards you. And I never thought of the concept of why they had their masks on when they started the fight, but that makes sense now.
Yeah, because like to me,
because you can't take your mask off.
You can't take your helmet off the fight.
Both guys, they're in circles. They were like, "Okay, take off your mask, you guys."
Yeah, and that's the thing. But if you square up and take your mask off, that if you look at other attempts at goalie fights of late, as guys square up, rather than like Bob just come charging in, when guys square up and take their mask off, as soon as the mask comes off, the referees break it up. And I think that might be why this one, in addition to, I don't know, but I think that might be why this one was allowed to start, in addition to the fact that Bob just got there before anybody realized what was going on, because he's so damn fast.
I thought at times both guys were doing their impression of the 400 individual medley. A lot of flailing, and we had the freestyle, we had the butterfly. Like there was not a lot of form in that fight.
No, there were moments where it was like watching basketball players fight, for sure.
Yeah, a little bit.
But there were also some other moments there. Like I thought Ned had some good form on a couple of those rights. I'll say this: I wouldn't want to do it.
Did you see Bob went to the room? He thought he was tossed out, and he came back into the game to a standing ovation. The camera down the hall, watching him walk back out. It was like a championship fight with the favorite, the 3-time champion coming into the ring.
Maybe this is the spark.
Yes,
what turns the Panthers.
You're not the first person to mention that.
Yeah. 100%. Somebody sent me a picture of him, the infamous picture of him from the Stanley Cup playoffs, where he's just in his knee pads, and obviously Bob is a pretty thin guy these days. Probably as strong as they come with all his workout regimen, but he's not the biggest. Somebody just sent me that picture of Bob looking like very waif-like, and with the hashtag attached to it, bully.
Other goaltending news, James Reimer joins the Ottawa Senators and is victorious. Is that the spark?
1-0-1, right? Like gets a win last night. I think it was a shootout loss in his first one, or an overtime loss in his first one. So might be, to be honest with you, they needed it. I was may have sent the odd note, Darren, saying, what are you waiting for? Sign this guy. And then once they signed him, what are you waiting for? Play this guy. If you're waiting for James Reimer to look good in practice, it would be the equivalent of waiting for Connor Ingram to turn things around in the American Hockey League before calling him up. Like if you're going on form in the American League, if you're going on form in practice for a goalie with that much experience, that type of veteran savvy, like just put him in the game. They finally did, and James has been good for them. Only one goal last night in the win against, and just nice to see, right? He went over. My understanding is he went to the Spengler, and I know he went early and played some pro games over there before the Spengler, got into a couple, and the whole idea was, or into a couple practices, like he was working with a pro team, he was skating Kelowna.
I didn't know that.
The whole idea was, this is it, give it a shot, second half of the season, and I'm glad he got an opportunity in Ottawa. I'm a big Levi Merilainen fan. When I did my polling of, sort of top goalie directors and scouts around the league this summer, he clocked in as a top 10 guy. He had a lot of success last year. They're a good defensive team. Travis Green has them playing good defense. Quite often when I do my radio hits around and people want to single out goalies, and it's really easy to look at the environment and say, goalie doesn't exist in a vacuum. This isn't on the goalies, but this one kind of has been in Ottawa. They're a good defensive team. They weren't getting enough saves. Merilainen is a great talent that was asked to do a lot this year, more than he had to do last year in a support role, and just looks like a kid that needs a reset in the American League. So James gives him the opportunity to do that. We all wish the best for Linus Ullmark in terms of whenever he's comfortable and ready to come back and play, then they're going to have a really nicely established veteran duo.
Rhymes is being asked to do a similar job as Tristan Jarry in Edmonton. Go in there and settle things down and provide some stability, and did a pretty good job of that too. Even in a loss last night, Hutch was giddy over the Butterstack.
Wow, I mean, I got to be honest. I just saw it on social media, but Butterstack, as we've said before, credited to our own Paul Campbell for inventing that term. The slide in a butterfly into the pad stack, and this one, full roll onto his back, just beautiful. I think if we ever do create that goalie dictionary, that save will be there for Butterstack. Although
that is on my list of summer tasks, by the way, is to start the goalie dictionary.
Butterstack. So now, if anybody wonders in the Hutch household why Dad's hands are constantly stuck to his phone, it's because he saw the Butterstack on Instagram and poured syrup all over it.
Oh.
Love us a Butterstack. Love us a good Butterstack. It's interesting, though, on Jarry, like he comes back from injury, had his first shutout here in Vancouver. I watched it in a game where the Canucks got kind of caved in the second period. He, being asked to stabilize it is interesting because when he came in, that was the ask. But as he comes back off the injury, it's stabilized, right? Like they're playing better defense than they were earlier this season as a group. Obviously, Leon's absence changes the mix up front, but up to that point, they had a really, things were rolling offensively with the way they had their forwards lined up. And again, to me, it's just like there was a team when people asked me early in the season, I would point to the defending, like the defending fell off a cliff. And so it's better. All the goaltenders are better. I would argue in a way that while Jarry was out, it was actually Connor Ingram and Calvin Pickard that helped stabilize the goaltending. Because since the trade, and Calvin's sort of going to get stuck as the number 3 here by the looks of it, and that's a tough spot to be. But since the trade on December 12th that sent Stuart Skinner to Pittsburgh, Connor Ingram's 4th in the NHL in adjusted save percentage. Calvin Pickard's 15th. They're both well above expected. Tristan Jarry's now just slightly bumped up above Pickard. They're actually sort of tied for 15th. Like Ingram's been really good. They're getting great goaltending out of all their guys. And it's an environment that's still far from perfect, but a lot better than it was for the first couple months of the season. By the way, as we talk about, that trade and what's happened since, I think there's a forgotten guy in that deal a little bit that we need to give a little bit of love to, and that is Stuart Skinner. Since that deal, he was actually, up until his last start, which appears to have bumped him out of that spot, he was actually also, so obviously coming off a tough one, but he was also in the top 10 in adjusted save percentage since the trade. So on the other side of that, in a rotation with Artur Shelovs, he's done a really good job for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
This is as quiet as the Oilers goaltending situation has been in a long time.
Except for the fact that they're now going to roll with 3, and there was a lot of noise about what they did to manage that. Because coming into, I believe, this past weekend, they were facing a decision. Ingram's 10-game counter didn't start till Jarry came back. But the 1 month in the NHL before he needs to clear waivers did. And so I believe they're just now through that. And so there was a decision to make. There's no way you're sending Connor Ingram down. And yet he was the only one of the 3 that could go down without requiring waivers. So would you risk damaging your depth chart by sending Calvin Pickard down and potentially losing him? We've just talked about what was going on in Ottawa. The Flyers with Dan Vladar out have faced some nights where they're not getting it, where it's been tough for them between the pipes. Would they look at an experienced veteran and Pickard? So it looks like they're going to roll with 3. I'm of the opinion that you can turn that into a positive, but most people just look at the math and realize it's hard to divide 3 goalies into 2 nets. They did it here. It was first half of back-to-back against Vancouver. Calvin Pickard traveled with the team. Tristan Jarry started. Pickard backed up. Next night in Edmonton, Connor Ingram did not travel to Vancouver. So while the rest of the Oilers got in at 3 a.m, Ingram was back home in Edmonton getting the proper rest so that he could start the next day, and they win that game as well. Shutouts back-to-back for Jarry and Ingram. So there are things you can do with 3 goalies to sort of make it work for you. But I think having 3 goalies will inevitably mean it's not quiet for long, Darren. And guess what? The 2 goalies we have on the podcast today are pushing from below in the American Hockey League. Matt Tomkins having a good season, and Connor Ungar, our other feature guest. Guys rocking a 955, 6-0 in the American Hockey League so far. So lots of depth, lots of options for the Edmonton Oilers suddenly in the crease.
I think it's worth mentioning on the 3 goalies don't go into 2 nets. I think there's 2 different ways of looking at that. Like at the National Hockey League level, especially this year with the compressed schedule and so little practicing, I think that makes a lot of sense. If you're a minor hockey family looking at a situation like that, I don't know that it's necessarily the same thing. You have many more practices. They are longer practices. And for 3 kids to share 2 nets probably means more appropriate rest so kids can take better reps. So I don't think you look at the National Hockey League and compare it to your situation at home and necessarily apply that.
I don't think the National Hockey League should look at it that way. And easy for me to say.
I'm just saying this year is different, right?
Yeah, I honestly like again, I guess when you've got a bunch of guys playing, and it looks like right now they're in a back and forth with Ingram and Jari, and that may be the way they proceed. But if you've got a workhorse number 1, 3 goalies, like Devin Dubnyk played 56 games in a row because they had 3 goalies. He'd do his work with the goalie coach. He'd get off the ice, and the other 2 guys would handle all the rush drills and endless open looks that come with an NHL practice. This year, there aren't even NHL practices. So they've got a practice sheet. They've got extra ice. Take your goalie coach off to the side and like Montreal did a couple of years ago. There was so much attention in Montreal on having 3 goalies. And talking to Sam Montembeault about it, he's like, there were positives. Like we would go to the second practice sheet with our goalie coach and just work on our stuff as an individual goalie, have one-on-one sessions, and then rotate in and out of the main practice rather than having one guy standing at the board. So there are ways to mitigate it. It doesn't necessarily have to be the negative that it constantly becomes in the media.
I don't like it.
I knew you wouldn't because you got a hat on that says 100%. There's no way you're dividing 3 into 2.
I've got my InGoal shirt that says I've got my goalie card.
I thought the hat was my save percentage of late, Darren, and I appreciate you celebrating it with me.
Wait, one guy, the guy that's starting, and I got this from Marty Baron, who was on 100% hockey. We were chatting about the 3 goalie system that Buffalo's navigating right now.
Right.
And it's like the guy that's starting wants his own net. The other 2 guys got to switch, or you do the 3 goalie rotation, and nobody's really happy. And then you got the 3rd guy who's just standing in the middle of the ice, doesn't know where to go. So the goalie coach ends up talking to him for most of the practice instead of working with the other guys. It's challenging to make it work.
I think that's partly a culture change, though. Like we're used to feeling that way. We've trained ourselves to feel that way. But if you can start getting your head wrapped around the idea that taking 4 or 5 really good high intensity reps is the better way to train yourself rather than stand in the net while coaches run flow drills for half an hour and just bag yourself, then I think eventually we'll be able to teach guys that this actually makes some sense.
But part of the problem is, oh God, there's 3 of us, we're competing. I got to be out there begging for my reps as opposed to Dubnyk's approach.
Again, culture change.
I got my reps. I feel great. I don't need to stand out here and take one-timers from the hash marks for the next 20 minutes. My game's in a great spot. I did my work with my goalie coach. I'm getting off. And I played 56 straight freaking games at a time when we're, and obviously 10 years ago, it wasn't to this degree, where we're worried about, what did I say last week, right? We celebrated Glenn Hall and 502 straight, and I had been talking that week on Calgary radio about them playing the wheels off Dustin Wolf at 8 in a row because practice wears guys out.
If I had 3 goalies, I would have one guy come in halfway through practice. You don't have to be ready at the start of practice. Come in halfway through, and you do the middle of the practice to all the stuff at the end of practice. Well, and then the one guy, the person that's going to back up, the number 2, he takes the start of practice and does everything through the first part. And then you don't have that awkwardness.
Yeah, and if you're at home, like it all depends, right? Like some of these, like Montreal's blessed. They have 2 sheets, right? Mm-hmm. So they literally would be running goalie sessions on one sheet while the rest of the team practice. So I guess not every team has that luxury, but I'm with you, Darren. Now, if you're the 3 and you're not playing very often or at all, that's tough. That's tough. You're the guy that's out there at the end of the practice taking all the, like, you're a target, right? For the end. But and I hate to say this for the guys that have to do it, but if I've got a clear-cut 1 or even a clear-cut 1 and 2, I don't want them out there as a target for the final 20 minutes of practice. Well, guys work on their one-timers from the dot. Like, it's not doing you any good as a goaltender. You can get, sure, maybe you can get something out of it. We always talk about making sure you find a way to get something out of the drills that aren't designed for you, for sure. But again, they're not designed for you, and being out there for a whole bunch of them just because we can't have 3 goalies.
Interesting.
That's old school.
You use the Dubnyk example. If you have a clear-cut number 1, you need 3 goalies. Like that doesn't necessarily compute when you first look at it. Why would you need 3 goalies if you're riding one guy? But it does make sense.
Yeah, because they used to wear guys out that were number 1s by making them take practice trips. And by the way, you're all gonna have a 3rd goalie next year. Everyone's gonna have a practice goalie. How they use them is gonna be interesting, and we'll see how this mindset works. But I watched Utah do it. Game day skate, 3rd goalie was out there.
I think it'll be more impactful just to having your own e-bug. Like, you know who's going in.
Fair, but
I don't think it'll be as impactful as a practice guy.
I'm watching teams use it as a practice guy and then tell me afterwards it's helping them manage their load management for their number 1.
Yeah, because next year we go back to a normal schedule. We're starting earlier. I know there's 2 more games, so as a practice influence, I don't think it'll be harder. I'm being very contradictory today.
Yes,
you're very challenging.
That's okay.
Why is that?
Darren got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, or because you started really early recording your other show too?
I don't know. Well, maybe it is coming off a conversation with Shannon.
It's Baron. He's old school. We have to have chat with. I'm texting.
I love that guy. He makes me laugh. We had a great conversation about the Dagobah in the Grand Allée in Quebec City, one of the great nightclubs of all time.
Beyond my time.
That's what we got into in 100% hockey. We did the goalie fights, we did goalies, we did the Sabres, and then we finished it with heading to the clubs.
Gonna have to rename the show to 95% hockey.
Yeah, good point.
Well, honestly, we can, in honor of Connor Ungar's save percentage and our featured guest, 955. I think I said it before. Like, let's tee this up really quickly because we got our feature guest coming.
Former Viking, by the way.
Yeah, Matt Tomkins, fantastic. We've got him for a second time on that. Like, just what a great path and what a great attitude.
Olympian.
And I love his approach. Olympian. Connor Ungar is 11-1-4. Played on 4 different teams in 2 different leagues. His save percentage in those leagues, 944, 945, 944, 955. So stay tuned for that feature interview and Matt Tomkins coming up.
So that's impressive because it's multiple different environments.
Yes, and we talk about that in the interview, how like it's a great one for kids who get jumped from team to team, or you're going from your winter team to your spring team, and you're like, oh, everything's different. Well, how do you manage that? We asked Connor.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're playing multiple men's league teams, got to make it work.
Yeah, one of those, eh? Are you one of those?
I used to play in a league in Markham where I love playing the doubles. Play with my team, and then if the goalie the next game or the game before couldn't make it, I love playing the doubles.
I did a double once where I had to have my wife waiting outside the rink with the car. I got into the car.
You changed rinks?
In full gear, I got in the car, drove across the town, and walked in and onto the ice at another rink.
That's awkward.
That was
sitting in the. Did you wear a seatbelt or did you just go with the gear to protect you?
I do not remember. I probably did.
You should have. You honestly should have had a cape. That's what you should have been wearing. That's some superhero stuff right there.
You just got to do stuff like that for the memories, right?
Yeah.
Is there pictures available of that?
No, I do have pictures somewhere of Woody in a car in full gear, though.
What was that about? We were headed to Angelo Maggio's 3-on-3 rink to do some recording, and somehow I ended up in the car in full gear. We were going from one to another.
We were on some crazy deadline. Who knows? But
yeah, it was pretty good stuff.
I think it was the Prius too that he folded.
I can't believe you could get in the car in the front seat. Did you sit in the back seat, lie down, or is it in the front?
You can push seats
seat?
Pretty far back.
It was. I remember this. It was the original Bauer
Ultrasonic, wasn't it?
Odin. It was the original, like the first generation Odin gear that we had, like original, if I remember correctly. The blue and white one. Now you're gonna have to find the photos. Now you're gonna have to.
Let's just say this: was the double blue, but
we have doubles. Only time I play 2 games in a day now is for the Canucks Autism Network tournament, and I usually struggle to walk for the rest of the week. I don't know how anybody does 2 anymore.
I love my doubles
because we were a lot younger.
Most of it's a Ryan diet, but I love my doubles. The Manitoba Martini. And never get tired of it. We get our gear segment coming up, brought to you by the Hockey Shop, source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. What's happening?
Everything. That's kind of what it feels like every time I go into the Hockey Shop, source for sports. They have the new Vaughn ION line. We're going to give you the pads and gloves today as part of our gear segment. And in coming weeks, we will also walk you through the new chest protector for the Vaughn ION line, as well as new pants that have an extra layer in the front. Basically a built-in, not full cup, but an extra cup protection layer. I believe we call it the PP protector. At least we did here at InGoal Magazine. So that's coming up. But today we've got Vaughn ION, which is a continuation of building off of their SLR line. And you know what that means? Before we get to the Vaughn ION, it means that Vaughn's SLR line, which we were fans of, SLR 4, and if they've got any 3 left, are all on sale, massive discounts at thehockeyshop.com right now. And of course, unlike Bauer and CCM gear, which is restricted in terms of shipping across the border, the Vaughn stuff can cross the line. So the discounts you get if you're an American customer on those Vaughn SLR 4, SLR 3 past generations, they're massive. Add 30 some odd, 35, 38. I almost cry when I hear it. Discount based on your American dollar going further up here in Canada. So can't say for sure what happens when it crosses the border in terms of that magical T-word tariffs, but you're going to save some big bucks on the Vaughn previous generation SLR line at the Hockey Shop, source for sports. Call them if you've got questions, or thehockeyshop.com.
Hutch, what do you say about this Vaughn line?
I got my eye on Vaughn.
Yeah, there you go. Pads and gloves coming up in our gear segment on InGoal Radio, the podcast.
Christmas is over, but not at the Hockey Shop, not for Santa Cam, because this is
Santa Cam.
New gear in January from Vaughn. And it's something you're going to want to keep an eye on.
We're going to ionize this review here pretty quick.
Full credit to the OG of dad jokes, David Hutchison behind the camera, for bringing us the Ion. This is the Vaughn Ion. You've seen it in the National Hockey League, used by one Calvin Pickard.
Ion Select.
Ions. Okay, so Pro Select, actually. See? So there's a lot we don't know about this gear. I'm going to get Cam to fill us in. All I know is I've seen Calvin Pickard wearing it.
Yes.
So tell me what is new, what is different. You can check it out at the Vaughn website. This is available now. They've got it in store at the Hockey Shop, source for sports. You can custom order it. It's ready to go early in 2026. So walk me through it.
Okay, let's start
with the pads. Yeah.
Okay. Rigid construction. Even I would say more so over the previous year's Ventus. Soft boot,
but it's rigid from the boot up.
Yeah, we are quite a bit stiffer. I would go as far as saying this is the stiffest Vaughn pad stock off the wall to date.
Well, that stiffness transfers, I noticed it right out of the box too, and this is one of their callouts. They've integrated the knee stack into the face of the pad, so the stiffness continues with, a little or a lot more sort of tie in between the face and the knee.
What's that S word we're looking for? Stability.
Wow, look at us.
Yeah, wow, that was neat.
Look at us.
But yes, quite a bit more stable. Less of that over-rotation of the pad, less of that rocker as you're like dropping down into the butterfly.
Gets you into the ice faster as well.
Down.
What's the other S word we're looking for? Slideability. What's that material called? Quick slide.
Yeah, can you make the sound? It makes so nice. Look,
yeah, it's kind of like if you're a Brian's guy, it's very similar to Primo. I've yet to see anybody explain to me the difference, but it slides real good.
Yes. So that maintains. We see that return. We have a definite design that's working here. NHL legal lace as well. Nice little bit of a call out. In terms of its contact point too, this is almost like a bit beveled. in terms of for the
Yeah, I noticed that was rounded.
Yeah, so less surface area contacting the ice, but still allowing it to give that good seal. So again, helping to improve that slide a bit more.
Pretty
Very firm.
Inside foam.
Yes, exactly. So again, stability, slideability, we all got it there.
What else? Strapping. Let's see the strapping. Open it up, Cam. Open it up.
The return of RRC. RRC strapping from Vaughn. Adjustable, easy to get that nice wrap around. You get the ability to move the strapping around a little bit. I can now mount these straps here on the inside if you want a really super tight fit to the pad itself. Again, that agility to customize the pad even after it's arrived as well. That's correct.
Oh, that's nice.
So nice, easy, adjustable. It's a very deep leg channel.
So you
as
get
well.
really connected to this pad.
100%.
It being a rigid pad.
Correct.
I like that adjustability.
So what I would say,
Her heat pad.
Reggie. So no mystery about these pads because we've obviously let the cat out of the bag here.
Okay. Really flat boot.
Very flat boot construction, so that still continues with the Vaughn sizing that we know and love now. So same VX1, Ion. We're going to have a similar sizing.
Going to feel a little taller than older.
That's correct, and that's why you do.
The other line.
Yes, and that's why you do see 31-inch as a stock senior sizing now as well.
Wow.
Yeah, 31.2, 32.2 up from there. Stiff pad. I would say your more flexible guys are going to benefit a little bit more from something like this to be able to really get that flare out to that pad. You have a very, very narrow butterfly. You are going to experience a little bit more of that, I would say, openness.
Can you custom order it with more breaks above the thigh rise to help close that?
So with Vaughn being a custom company, yes, you can help. So if you need a little bit more flexibility up at the top, that is a possibility. But again, I wouldn't try to mess with a pad that's designed to be stiff too much by trying to make it softer. So again, those are kind of what we were kind of specifically looking for in terms of that fit.
They thinned out by their standards, the top edge.
Yes, a little bit thinner in terms of its overall profile. I would still say one of the thicker ones up top
compared to some other, but that's where they get a lot of their rigidity from.
Correct.
Okay, so
gloves.
I do want to ask about Pro Select and the different models, but first let's go into the gloves.
Yes.
Because I've got, what do I have? I have the 70.
You have a 70.
They call it the 70. Feels like it closes much like a 580.
So you get a little bit more of that 580 kind of style of closure. That's correct. Yeah, I have the
pulling my fingers into the
60
thumb, base of the thumb,
in my hand. Cool. So more of that 590 style in particular. So you get those two options: stock off the wall, double T. They've gone back from, they used to have the single T in the SLR4. They switched back to their double T.
Skate lace
stock. Nice wide open pocket. Shock shield in terms of for the palm padding. So this has been quite a bit better since, when did they come up with it? I think it was like B10, I think it was. Just a better way for that impact padding. This is still a game-ready glove, but still feels quite thick on the hand. Good overall protection right off the bat.
Strapping on the back.
Very traditional-esque, very Vaughn-esque. Not too big of like changes to be expected here. Again, something that's comfortable. It works. Breathable. It works. Not too much more to say about that.
4 fingers with a pinky loop to separate those two.
Correct.
You've got some adjustability on the top in terms of being able to tighten it and loosen it, and really crank it down over the fingers if you want that to prevent slip out, and the same adjustability over the back of the hand to be able to lock it in. This one in particular is a really just right out of the box.
Both of these are right out.
Literally, we just took them out of the box.
And they've got great closure to them right off the bat. So
it feels good on the hand as well.
Exactly. Minimal break-in time probably required for these
guys. Feels like the break on that, like it feels a little thicker, like you're closing around it compared to this one.
Yes. I mean, it's a thick break, but at least you know that there's padding there, so it's not like it's something taken out to be able to get that closure, right?
Okay, so now
blocker.
The blocker.
She's a beefy boy.
Beef.
He's a beefy boy.
17 millimeters.
7 of HD foam in there. Carbon layering on the front. Very
great active rebounds.
Rigid blocker, but you are going to get...
Like the pads, rebound positive, I believe is the nomenclature.
Rebound positive.
So in other words, it's designed with this stiffness to produce a more active rebound, buy you a little more time to recover.
Exactly. So that goes along with the blocker. To be honest, for how thick it is, it's not heavy fit. It's not chunky feeling.
So it's balanced on your hand.
You are going to get a hard rebound off of this guy. So I actually quite like the feel of this, again, for really being able to get that like rebound quality level of it. And I'm still able to get really good flexion with it too as well. So even though it is, again, something that's a beefy blocker, you get really, really good control over it.
I like that, like the steeper angle at the top, sort of keep pucks from rolling over.
Get that deflection up and out and away from that net.
Okay, so now we talked about Ion Pro Select.
Yes.
This is the highest end because we've
Domestically made.
Okay.
In Canada.
And the United States.
Yes, but we don't get any of that product.
Okay.
Yes. Only Canada only.
Okay.
That said, all here, all awesome. If you want to learn more about it, give us a call, 604-589-8299 or 1-800-567-7790. There will be more to come. There are subsequent lines, but that is a video for another day.
Beep, 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 beep. Cam, I had some questions about whether there were going to be other, like, is there other availabilities at lower price points coming, or do you have them, or what?
Yes, Kevin. And that's for another video, for another time, later on, closer to the spring.
I wonder if Ion was created because of that little play on words that you made. Hutch, the Ion.
I think more like it's a real positive for your game.
Are ions the positive?
Well, it could be positive or negative. They're just charged. But
I just wanted to get a science lesson from Science Hutch.
If you're feeling negative, you might want to have a positive added to your game.
You know what?
What's that?
That's a perfect segue, because you know who wears this in the National Hockey League right now? Probably the most positive guy I've ever met, and it's a big part of the success he's had, and that's Calvin Pickard in the Edmonton Oilers. We got an Edmonton Oilers theme going today. He's in the Vaughn ION gear this year.
We talked about three goalies. Like you really do need that guy around. He's such an important part of that room.
He is, and I don't know if you saw the Hockey Day in Canada stuff and the interviews with McDavid and his teammates about what he means to that room. Like, there's lessons there about making yourself indispensable as a person, as a teammate. And like I said, he's played some really good hockey, especially since that trade was made in mid-December. And as I said before, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but I'm just going to reiterate it because his season-long numbers are not going to look great. In large part, because his environment this season, up until that trade, was one of the worst in the NHL. He had an .863 save percentage for the first 2 months of the season. Nobody succeeds in an .863 save percentage. Maybe Ilya Sorokin. That's about it.
From our Ion to Vizual Edge, it's the ProReads with Jet Greaves. So what's happening with Vizual Edge right now?
Well, Darren, I know for you, with that 100% save percentage you're wearing, every puck looks like a beach ball. For the rest of us that would like it to look like a beach ball, or would even like to see it at all, as is often the case when I play eyes shut, every goalie has that night. You know the one where the puck looks huge, you're ahead of every play, you feel calm, patient, in total control. Okay, Darren, you know what that's like. Hutch knows what that's like. I barely know. Then there are the nights, and this relates to me, when you're a half step late. You see it, but you don't really see it. You're reaching, you're guessing, you're fighting it. That's not your technique. That's your eyes and your brain not processing the play fast enough. Vizual Edge fixes that. It measures how well your eyes track and process the game, then gives you a custom plan that trains it. 3 15-minute sessions a week on your laptop or tablet, wherever you've got those and the time. It's what NHL goalies use to make the game slow down when it matters most. And of course, we've got a discount. InGoal, all one word, all caps. If you want double the discount, you should subscribe to InGoal Premium. Go to any ProReads and you will get the InGoal Premium member only discount. Darren's a big members only guy. You get that double discount on Vizual Edge. So Vizual Edge is a great way to see the puck and read the game better, and that makes them the perfect sponsor for our ProReads, which is all about helping goalies read the game better by sharing insights from NHL goalies. And this week's Vizual Edge ProReads is Jet Greaves of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Great breakdown on the video. I love Jet's honesty. This starts as an even man rush at the line, and Jet's playing about half ice in his crease because it's even numbers. So I would ask the two of you, and this is a trend we're seeing around the National Hockey League right now, and at high level, like I heard this from USA Hockey with their national development program in terms of being a new way of approaching rush chances in terms of initial depth. I heard this at the symposium in Minnesota a couple summers ago. Unless it's an odd man, so if it's just even coming into the zone like a regular entry, where do you start in your crease?
Do you not take more depth?
That used to be the trend.
Yeah.
They used to talk about, I think USA Hockey used to use the frame ready on red. So they were out, set, ready, on angle as the puck hit center ice. But that trend is changing because the puck, and Jet talks about this, because chances are in an even man rush, that puck is going wide. Why would you be so far out as the guy enters the zone on one wing that you have to double the distance you need to travel in order to get set on the other one? So increasingly at this level, unless it's odd man, we're seeing goalies set up half ice, waiting until that puck is sort of in the zone or until that first play is made, and then taking a step out into that spot. So like that's a trend. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's one I'm seeing all around the National Hockey League, mostly with success. Obviously, it's situational. There are going to be odd man rushes where you want to get out and have a little flow, but that's where Jed is when this puck enters the zone. Now, the mistake, and I love that Jed admits that when he makes mistakes, is two of his defenders go to the puck carrier. And all of a sudden, one of the guys in that even man rush has a massive pocket of ice to skate into. And in retrospect, he wishes he'd taken ice when he identifies that, because ultimately it becomes a one-on-one breakaway off an even man rush to a one-on-one breakaway in tight, and he gets stuck sort of deeper. So he walks us through the positives and negatives of not having recognized it sooner and getting a little ice and flow, but also there is a benefit because the guy caught the puck, you know, like a lefty coming down the left side catches a puck from his right. Is he going to shoot or is he going to pull it back the other way? And so there were benefits to being a little deeper in case that guy cut back. Jet walks us through all of those things, walks us through the keys in his mind to making the save, what allows him to stay on the puck, and the things he would have done differently. And again, that's what I like about the honesty. Like, hey, yes, I made this save. Here's why I made this save. If I could do it again, I might also add this element into my save. He walks us through all of it in the latest ProReads presented by Visual Edge.
I'm going to think about that every time that I face a rush this week.
I am not the comparison point here because I play drop-in skates essentially.
Doesn't matter. It's still a rush. Like every time the puck comes up the ice.
I find myself getting caught way less just waiting. Now I'm playing way deeper anyways, like 2/3 crease max. But
so you wait until they come in the zone before you take ice.
And I used to be a guy because, again, the 2 games I play a week now are over my head. They're better than me. They're guys that played some minor pro or junior or college. Like, they're just better than I am. And there are nights where I get torched. But since sort of coming, I used to be like, oh, I got to be out on this guy because he could walk into the top of the circle and rip one. And there are still guys that do every once in a while. But now I'm just like, well, if I can handle that shot from 2/3 depth, why am I out at the top of the crease, heels out on the edge of the crease and having to move so much? Like I just find it's easier to keep the game in front of you and sort of follow that cliche we talk about a lot. Let it come to you. Let it come to you. I just find it's easier from a more conservative initial depth.
Just have to have your mentality ready to challenge out, like periscope out.
To an extent. Yeah, to an extent. But I also find that sometimes it's just easier to sit back there and, you know, I mean, obviously open looks in the middle of the ice are different, but it's kind of shifted things for me. And so I had another guy, definitely not after my last game. Trust me, nobody wanted to talk to me after that one. But a couple of games ago, say, hey, like you're playing really well. I'm like, well, yeah, I think this change is actually working. So who knows? I'm a little slow between the ears and slow between the pipes. So maybe it's just helped with both. Maybe it's a placebo, but maybe it's making those shorter routes easier. But it's a trend that I'm trying because I'm getting this feedback from guys right up to the NHL. We're seeing it. We're hearing it in interviews. And I think it's one that more goalies should consider.
Got a double conversation coming up in our Sense Arena feature interview. But first, Stop It Goaltending U, the app, presents our parent segment. Looking forward to this conversation with David Hutchison. But our friends over at Stop It Goaltending U, the app, have all kinds of things going on.
How old's your oldest daughter, Hutch?
21.
So when Hutch brings us his parent segment, you get 21 years of parenting experience. When you go to the Stop It Goaltending U app, you get 25 years of NHL goalie experience at your fingertips. That's what you tap into every time. From the same parent that helped get Joey Daccord to the Seattle Kraken in the National Hockey League, that's what you get with a subscription to Stop It Goaltending U, the app. All the knowledge from Brian Daccord, who's been an NHL goalie coach, scout, and director, as well as all the insights and expertise from his staff at Stop It, which last year celebrated 25 years as one of the world's top goalie schools. And it includes teachers working right up to the NCAA, all delivered in easy-to-digest chunks, including 5 short daily primers each week, weekly style analysis and breakdown videos, and drills that you can take onto the ice with your team and goalie coach. Plus, every subscription to the Stop It Goaltending U app gets a subscription included to InGoal Premium, the best of both worlds. So check it out at the App Store or Google Play Store and get Stop It Goaltending U, the app, and InGoal Magazine Premium delivered to your tablet, your computer, your phone, and get better at goaltending.
Hutch.
Darren, this week I just wanted to talk about comparisons. I've seen a few people out there talking about decisions and where their kids should play and all sorts of different things, and thought I would chip in with a few thoughts that will probably lean into another few parent segments coming up. In a lot of minor hockey leagues, we're not far off from playoffs. Seems crazy, but a lot of leagues tend to shut down sort of February time for playoffs. Spring hockey emails are already flooding parents' inboxes, and if you're like most goalie parents, you're watching. You're watching who's getting the playoff starts, you're watching whose stats are better, which kids are committing to which spring programs, and you're wondering, is my kid on the right path? Are we falling behind? Here's what makes it harder than ever. The pathways to success in goaltending are being rewritten as we speak. And CHL players, for example, can now go to the NCAA. A lot of junior A routes that used to exist to preserve kids' chances of playing college, that those are disappearing, or at least changing. What looked like the right path 2 years ago might not even exist anymore. And in the middle of all this change, we're doing what parents do. We're comparing. We are watching other families make decisions and panicking that we need to keep up. That kid's going to this elite spring program. That goalie just committed to a tier 1 team. That family's hiring a private coach. And we all think, are we missing something? Are we making a mistake? The comparison trap, I call it, has always been dangerous for goalie parents, but right now it's worse than ever because nobody actually knows what the right path is anymore. Here's the reality. When nobody knows what the destination looks like, comparing your kid's path to someone else's path is completely pointless. You're measuring yourself against a standard that is shifting beneath all of us. The kid dominating at 13, he might burn out at 16. Your kid who's struggling right now, he might not peak until he's 17, 18, 19. The elite path one family is chasing might not even be relevant by the time these kids are draft eligible. We simply don't know. What we do know is that goalies who keep developing, they stay engaged, they don't burn out, and they will have opportunities. Maybe it's the CHL, the USHL, college, who knows? Maybe it's a path you can't even see yet. But comparing right now at 11, 13, 15, it tells you nothing about where these kids are going to be later on. Goalies develop on completely different timelines, we know. They always have. Some, peak early, but then they plateau. Some are late bloomers, and maybe they figure it out later at 16, 18, 20, even later. The position is too complex, it's too mental, it's too dependent on physical development that happens at different rates. Look, I've lived this. Our family took the road less traveled, guys, as you know. We kept our son home longer than most families who were chasing that elite dream. He had some success in the CHL. Now his path has taken a different turn and he's in the BCHL. Do I look back and wonder, what if, about decisions we made? Absolutely. Every goalie parent does. But here's the thing. There's no way to know if we made mistakes. The alternate timeline doesn't exist. So I can't have any regrets. What I do know is that years of family time that we wouldn't have had we been chasing that elite path earlier, we got those. We got dinners together. We got them at home. We got to watch them grow up, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I have no idea if the other path would have worked out better. So here's where we are. For everybody else, when those spring hockey decisions come at you, and they're coming, remember this. You can't make good decisions when you're stuck in the comparison trap. You can't see what your goalie needs when you're too busy watching what everybody else is doing. Just do what's right for your family. Make sure your kid's having fun. Make sure he's developing. The rest will follow. Next week, we're going to talk specifically about navigating spring hockey in this crazy landscape. But for now, take a breath. Your goalie's path is their own, and that's exactly how it should be. As always, we'd love to hear from you. What comparisons are you wrestling with? What'd you think about my thoughts today? Maybe you have a different opinion. Email us, podcast@ingoalmag.com.
Remember the movie Sliding Doors?
Mm-hmm.
Like that is down the path of what would have happened if. One of the great movies that make you think about every decision that you make, big decisions that you make.
I often think about some crazy decisions in the past that got me to where I am or got other people to where they are. And had that one little decision not been made, there'd be massive changes in life. And it's a crazy one. But at one point, I was coaching this girl who she got a full scholarship down to the U.S. as a rower. I was a rowing coach. And we had a conversation about it. And the only reason she ever took up rowing is because she happened to move in beneath a rower, and she kept seeing the Rowing Canada magazines showing up on sort of the front step. But the only reason the person above them even got into rowing was because another guy volunteered to tape ankles for a basketball team and recruited them all down to the rowing club. So it's like, had this guy not volunteered to tape ankles, she doesn't get a full ride down to the States as an NCAA athlete. Like, there's lots of those stories if you think back to your life, small decisions. The reality is, if you're happy where you are today, you can't really have any regrets because you don't know what got you there.
Those dominoes. A similar thing happening with the Edmonton Oilers goaltending situation from the NHL into the American Hockey League and the ECHL. Dominoes falling and taking advantage of that opportunity. Part of our Sense Arena feature interviews this week, brought to you by Sense Arena.
Yes, we are thrilled that NHL Sense Arena supports all of our feature interviews. And as you know, guys, getting enough quality reps, especially Darren would say in the 3-goalie system, is one of the biggest challenges for developing goalies. Ice time's expensive, schedules are packed, and sometimes you just need more practice than you can get at the rink. I suppose if Darren had 2 goalie partners, he'd be standing on the bench with his NHL Sense Arena headset on, just trying to get those extra reps in. So, NHL Sense Arena comes in those situations where you can't get the reps that you want to get. It's VR hockey training, virtual reality, designed specifically for goalies. Yeah, there's a player version. They went down that road too. But it all started with the goalies, as we know it does. You get to work on your angles. You get to work on your box control. You can practice reading shot releases. You can learn to track pucks through traffic. The skills that lead to more saves, all from home. The Goalie Advancement Program, of course, includes guided courses that break down positioning and anticipation into focused lessons. You can do pregame mental warm-ups to get sharp before you step on the ice, and you get unlimited reps wherever your schedule allows. And right now, they're offering 50% off their annual plans. That's just $29 a month, and you can save even more at checkout with the code IGM50. So as always, head over to sensearena.com to learn more and get started.
Did you see Joey Decord demonstrating NHL Sense Arena on the NHL Network a couple of weeks ago? It was awesome. Just walked everyone through. Like, we know it, we've talked about it, but to see the rest of the world sort of get this glimpse that here's this NHL guy using this on game days as a tool, I thought was pretty cool. So good job by him. Good job by the NHL Network guys. I loved it.
Subtle jabs, or not so subtle. I'm going to bypass them, the references during your introduction there. But we have conversations with Connor Ungar and Matt Tomkins this week. You want to start with Connor?
Yes. Well, speaking of different paths, both of these guys took different steps. Matt Tomkins, who we'll get to in a minute, goes overseas and plays a couple seasons in Sweden after starting his career in the American Hockey League. comes back, plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning in 23-24, and is now a big part of the Edmonton Oilers' pecking order in goaltending, and a guy who looks like he's ready to be back in the NHL. Connor Ungar, who we'll start with, he went to Brock University, and we'll get into that. Stop me if you've heard that before. Some guy named Logan Thompson. I guess it's not the first time he's been asked about it. But both of these guys took different steps on the way and as part of their path in pro hockey. They didn't follow the traditional ones. And they're both, like I said, on their way to being or have played in the National Hockey League already. So let's start with Ungar, because I've said it before. It's the shorter of the two interviews. What he's done this year, playing for 4 different teams, because the Oilers don't have a dedicated ECHL affiliate. He has played for the Fort Wayne Comets 2 games, the Greensboro Gargoyles for 4 games, and the Orlando Solar Bears for 5, before getting the call up to Bakersfield of the American Hockey League, where, oh, by the way, he's 6-0 with a .955 save percentage. Across those 4 teams in 2 leagues, 11-1-4, save percentage at each stop. I mentioned it once already, .944, .945, .944, .955. Not bad at all. Had a shutout shortly after we taped this conversation. Let's just catch up with Connor Ungar on a crazy year and how he's managed to succeed amidst all these changes in different teams and teammates. First time talking to Connor Ungar. Real excited to meet him. 2nd year pro. Out of Brock into pro, which is a path we've seen before. You've been all over the place this year. I'm looking for advice for kids. Changing places, fitting in on a new team in short order, something you've had to do this year. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I think as far as fitting into new teams, I think it's just about being, being a great teammate. Like, you got to go in there. You can't be, whatever your situation is, you can't really go into a new spot and, be bitter or sour because, that'll rub off on the guys. So I think, it's important to just be upbeat and happy and excited to be wherever you are in whatever situation you are. So I think as far as bouncing around, moving team to team where you might not know guys, I think that's the biggest key, I think.
What's the toughest part? Do you get different and especially in the ECHL, do you get different voices from a coaching perspective, new systems, new teammates? Do you like I know does Sal come down and help a little bit and sort of provide that voice from Edmonton, or are you kind of on your own at that level sometimes?
No, they definitely help out, but I think I think you got to use all the different information as a positive. Like, it's just growing your toolbox and being a sponge and soaking up information from everywhere. And like whether you like it or don't like it, you maybe don't have to. You can try it and not use it, but it's important to, I think, just be a sponge and soak it all up. So I think I've used the whole situation to a positive. And I think it's helped me in a sense, kind of, gain some different perspectives and just finding what works, what doesn't work for me, and kind of using that moving forward.
Tools in the toolbox is something we're all about, right? Like sort of share it and let everyone pick what they want. That process, though, sometimes can be difficult. Like you said, try it. How do you figure out what's for you and what's not?
Yeah, I think it obviously starts in practice. Like you try different things coaches might tell you in practice, and you give it the honest college try, and if it doesn't work for you, then maybe you don't implement it. But me personally, I've never had any trouble just trying stuff. Whether it's equipment, whether it's a certain style on the ice or anything like that, I've always been open to trying it, and I think that's been beneficial for me throughout my career.
How has your game evolved over the past couple seasons, even back to Brock coming out of Moose Jaw? What kind of things have you changed? What kind of things are you focused on? What are maybe an example of a tool that you've added to the toolbox?
I think probably the biggest tool is playing with a little bit more flow and more rhythm to my game in a sense. Like the game just gets so much faster as you move from school to East Coast to the American League. It plays, especially off the rush and in zone, happens so fast. Like, I've learned to not be so puck focused. If, maybe this puck's in a lower, less dangerous scoring area, right? Like don't be so puck focused on that because it's probably going seam and sometimes it might go seam again. So just being, playing with some more flow, maybe, maybe more relaxed in a sense, but that's maybe not the right word because I'm obviously dialed in on the puck, but maybe playing a more relaxed stance, not being so set, stick on the ice, feet wide, like narrow feet, not super set because it's probably changing sides. And just, I think that's, if I had to pick one thing, that's kind of the biggest thing that I've kind of tried to grow over the last few years.
A little more relaxed, let it come kind of thing in zone.
Yeah, exactly. Like, off the rush, the guy's coming in down the wing and he's basically on the board. So why would I be set, wide feet, stick on the ice in that situation when there's guys driving middle, back post? Like maybe I'm more relaxed on the puck because I know it's probably coming to the middle or heading to the weak side. So it gives you, I can get over there quicker. I could probably get over there on my feet instead of sliding if I'm not super wide. So just stuff like that, kind of reading the game and just playing with more flow, have some drift to it, especially if it's coming off the rush.
In zone 2, it sounded like maybe a little bit of, not that you're going to be moving a ton in there, but a little bit of flow to your game, even in zone. We've seen this, like Boston recoil. I think they call it drift, or in LA, like coaches starting to put that back into guys' games, even in zone.
Especially with, a lot of the O zones these days, there's this ton of movement, D-diving down, wing, the center coming high for 3 high, and then attacking downhill. Like teams will, get it up to the point, change size, and then almost attack downhill.
It's almost like a rush.
Off the rush, right? So yeah, absolutely in zone, and just reading situations, I think has grown a lot for me, and I think it's something I want to continue to keep doing.
With those reads and with sort of getting comfortable as the environments change at different levels, does patience come with it? I mean, I'm only watching practice today, but your patience off the release in some drills where guys were walking into prime areas sort of stood out. Is that, am I right in sort of saying has it always been a strength of your game, something you're focusing on?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I don't think it's always been a strength of my game, but something that's definitely grown this year. Because just with moving up levels and changing places, like guys, the player's looking for you to make the first move, right? And if you kind of, you're like, oh, I think he's going glove, like I'm shifting a little bit, leaning a little glove, and then he's going to beat you, right? You have to just trust your instincts, trust your reads, and just snap on the release of the shot and just really bear down on maybe a little extra focus, really paying attention to that blade, like take little cues if he opens it a bit, closes it a bit. Like it just comes down to those fine details, right? So I think that's something that's definitely grown in my game this year.
Sounds like a lot of reads, like a lot of reads. Is that, can that only be experience, or do you use other tools to sort of work on it? Can you use video to become a better reader of the game?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's something that I've been pretty good at. So that hasn't been something that's needed to grow much this year is, my, watching video or, the tactical skills. I feel like I've always had those. So I think, the on-ice reads have kind of been, and what we just talked about, have been the biggest things I've grown this year. But obviously video is huge, like picking up tendencies that certain teams do and stuff, especially on the video is huge for me on, in pre-scouting a power play from the other team, right? Like what are their tendencies? You kind of have to know that because again, it does happen so fast and you need to have a little bit of, what are their tendencies in the back of your head, right? Or you might be a little lost. So.
Like them for shootouts too, or would you rather not know? Everybody's different on this one, I find.
That's a good question. I think I like, it's not going to mess me up if like, a coach comes to me and says, hey, like these guys in a shootout, this is what they like to do. Like that's not going to, mess with me. I'm still going to be patient and read the situation when I'm out there. But yeah, I'm indifferent about that. Like who's it with the Flames? Kirkland's going low glove every time. Like that's something you'd maybe like to know. Like if a guy's scoring 2-3 times in a row, like the same way you'd maybe like to know that. But yeah, no, shootouts are fine. Just go out there and battle and try and make the saves, right?
How many times have you been asked about, as you work your way up towards the National Hockey League and keep playing, how many times have you been asked the Brock University, Logan Thompson question? Am I going to be number a million or what?
Maybe a couple times, but no, not too much. I think it's maybe the years have been, like 5 years apart. They're separated enough to where, but no, I get the question sometimes. And yeah, I think it's almost like kind of a coincidence how like, we both were in Brandon and both went to Brock. Like for me, when I was picking schools, I just wanted to go somewhere I was going to play. And, that Brock was the spot for that. I didn't pick it or not pick it because of LT, but, I think, I was like, hey, this team's like, I'm going to play every game here. And, like,
just funny enough what he said at the time too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what, he was looking for. And I was looking for was just a chance to play. And they were going to offer me that. And then, you look at, oh, LT went there. Like, why not? So
I've often looked at Canadian University and like seen some really good goalies and be like, yeah, why not? Like we see the NCAA late signings, and I've always felt like there's a lot of talent there and teams sometimes miss on it. So it's nice to see guys getting this opportunity.
Yeah, like in U Sports, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I played against some.
I'm old, so I think I still called it CIS. So that just that dates me.
Yeah, for sure. Like I played against some really good goalies there, and there's good goalies everywhere, and you kind of just have to get a bounce, you know what I mean, to get that opportunity. And I'm very fortunate and thankful that Edmonton gave me the opportunity out of U Sports. So super excited about that, and just want to keep getting better, keep moving up the ladder.
Up to this ladder with Kelly Gard, what's that relationship been like? I guess you would have worked with him at training camp. How you build on that relationship? What are some of the things he brings experience wise? There's a guy that went a different path at times.
Yeah, he's been great. This is the second year I've had the chance to work with him, and he's coached against me in the Western League, right? So I think that can be big, right? Like he knows my game, he knows what needs to get better and what's strong and what things to work on and what things that can help me be successful. So he's been a great resource, and he's a great coach, and we have a really good relationship there too. So
I'm going to take this back a little bit. How did Connor Ungar become a goalie, fall in love with goaltending? What do you love most about it now?
That's
we'll wrap with that.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to, you're so young, it's hard to pinpoint exactly where I think it started in the mini six hallways and, in street hockey. And I think at that time I was, the only guy that could play goalie on the team I was on. Other kids weren't good at it or didn't like it. I was just the only guy that could get us wins at the time. And I honestly, I think it grew from there. And you have the opportunity every night to be the guy, right? Be a difference maker. And I think that's what I love most about it.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today.
Awesome.
So there's an interesting story going on in the Oilers with their goaltending depth. Ungar's pushing from below, and you've got Ingram doing what he's been able to accomplish at the National Hockey League level with Tristan Jarry and Calvin Pickard. And right in the middle is Matt Tomkins, who's done a really good job himself.
Yeah, and it's interesting here, right? Because when they called Ingram up, Tomkins had better numbers. And yes. Tomkins' numbers aren't quite the same as what Ungar's are. And I think the lesson here is don't judge by the numbers, especially at the American League where I don't have access to, proprietary adjusted numbers to sort of measure the environment that they're facing. Ingram had numbers in the American League that just did not look like an NHL goalie. And yet he's been, as I said, one of the top 5 NHL goalies since he got called up.
There was a bit of controversy when Ingram went up over Tomkins at the time.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you, like, not to read too much into numbers because they don't necessarily guarantee success. Or in Tomkins' case, he may have gone up and had the same success, right?
Yes.
I've had a couple of people tell me that Matt Tomkins can be an NHL goaltender. They believe he is an NHL. There's a lot. It's funny. I just watched, I was down in the American League last night watching Jacob Fowler, who was just in the NHL. But talking to people around the Laval Rocket, they think that Kaapo Kähkönen's ready to be back in the NHL as well. It's just, there's only so many spots. It's tough to get one. And in the case of Tomkins, nothing he did or didn't do, just Ingram got first dibs and ran with it. So Matt's a guy who, like I said, I know people in the Oilers organization believe he's an NHL goalie, really like the signing in the summer. Chance for him to go home. He's originally from Sherwood Park. We get into that a little bit. This is a guy who's trending towards being an NHL goalie, just needs a shot at it. And in the meantime, sharing some great lessons about his path, about the unique nature of it. As you said, Darren, he's an Olympian. His first NHL win was in Montreal. We get into all of it in this interview with Matt Tomkins. Really enjoyed it. Really excited to welcome back to the InGoal Radio podcast, Matt Tomkins. It's been a couple of years, Matt.
It has, yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, time flies. Can't believe it's, probably over 2 years now since we last talked. So, yeah, great to see you.
And,
with the Edmonton Oilers now, like hometown. This is kind of a cool deal. Walk me through what led to it. Obviously, you got your restart with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
The decision to sign in Edmonton this summer.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first time through free agency, which is, pretty hard to believe, having played this long and didn't really know what to expect. I kind of, had been prepped by my agents a little bit of how it kind of looks. And leading up was just really an unknown. And then early in the morning on the 1st, got a call from my agents, and, Edmonton had made the offer, and that was an easy no-brainer for me. So dream situation, obviously amazing to be able to sign with your hometown team, have the chance to, wear the Oilers jersey one day and play for them. So like I said, easy no-brainer for me, and it's been a really great situation so far.
What's it? I mean, maybe some advice for young kids, because now you've got a new goalie coach at both levels, Kelly Gard here in Bakersfield, but obviously Pete Aubry, who I know is a big fan of yours. Sounds like you got a chance to work with him, or at least talk to him and get to know him in the summer. What's that process like of working with new voices, new coaches, new ideas coming to your game?
Yeah, I think it's really important just to try and be on the same page right from the start. It's obviously working with new guys. There's different kind of lingo. There's different mechanics that they like to use, different approaches to the game. But when you really dive into it, at the end of the day, everyone's teaching the same sort of stuff, same ideas. And it's just a matter of kind of making sure you're understood on both ends, so that when you get to work, there's no real question marks about what you're doing or what the approach really is. So, and that was great with both Kelly and Pete, and, getting a huge head start with that, where you feel really comfortable working with them from day one, and just being open about how you feel about stuff, being open about things that you want to work on, things that you think are important to your game, and also asking the same of them, of, keeping me honest, and, really making sure that they are open about how they feel or things that we should be working on. So been a great relationship working with both those guys. Obviously, I've known Pete for a long time, and it feels like I've known Gardo here for a lifetime as well, working with him. So it's been a lot of fun, and they've both taught me a lot. And yeah, working with Gardo here every day has been a blast, and we have a really good time and getting a lot of really good work done. So I feel great about where my game's at.
Do you almost need a dictionary? Like, do we need, like we've joked at InGoal about creating a dictionary, because goalie coaches will use different terms for the same thing, and bridging that gap when you come to a new organization or a new team can take some time.
Definitely. And I think when you're younger too, you're almost like intimidated about questioning what they're, asking you to do, or certain words you're using. So that's where I feel older now, and,
say, hey, what do you mean?
Yeah. What are you talking about? I've never heard that before. And you don't feel weird asking it, but yeah, we definitely do need a dictionary, because, especially me having been over in Europe too, I've heard, 10 different terms for the exact same thing. So keeps it funny.
How has your game progressed over the last couple of years? I mean, like I said, I know there's a foundation there that you've built, but always looking to add new things and new ideas and new voices. What are some of the things you can share that you've tinkered with?
Yeah, I feel like my game's really come a long way in the last couple of years. And, obviously last time we talked, there had been a lot of fine tuning, kind of coming back from Europe, getting ready for the North American game, and trying to make it to the NHL. And ever since then, it's been, even more and more fine tuning, just as far as structure and consistency, and just the overall approach to the game. And I think a lot of that has to do with, my age and experience, where I feel really good about where my game's at. I feel like I know how to approach, how to get the best version of myself. And, working with the goalie coaches, it's been really easy to share that with them as well, so that we're able to work on things that I think are really important. And yeah, the last couple of years is just, it's been huge, and had a really good couple of years in Tampa, working with both France and Max Valancourt, who really, really helped me progress my game and really just fine tune all the things that make me successful, at the NHL level and the American League level as well. So continued that, right from day one here with the Oilers, and feel really good about where things are at. And yeah, just trying to be as calm, composed, and structured as possible, and simplify things as much as I can.
Give me an example. Like, when you say, like, where does calmness come from? Like, goalies hear that all the time, and it's so easy to say, really, really easy from my couch to say, be calm and composed and let it come. But when you're in it, it can be a lot harder. Where does it come from for you? What are the sources of it?
Yeah. So the last couple of years working with Max Valancourt, he actually really helped me fine tune something that I think about every day, whether it's practice or game, and it's just set, square, track, compete. So whenever I'm looking at film of a game, or thinking about, how a practice went, if I just think about those four things and think, if every time, was I set on every puck? Was I square? Did I track it? And then did I compete if there was a rebound? If all of those things are taken care of, then usually more times than not, the game goes really well and the practice goes really well. I think when I get outside of that and I start thinking about, little things about, hey, where my hands are at here, or how's my depth here, or, how's my momentum or anything like that, then I kind of get away from those important things. So that's been huge for me at this point in my game, where if I just think about those four and that's all I think about, 99 times out of 100, it goes really, really well.
Okay. I'd be remiss. We're all the way in here. I haven't asked you about the NHL experience. What's it like?
It's incredible. It's everything you dream of as a kid and more. And, I think I was very fortunate that I had the opportunity to do it much later in my career. So it was, had that build up and anticipation for so much longer than most guys have. So, just being there, and Tampa is obviously an incredible organization, and to have an opportunity to play, with all the players there, and, share the ice with Vasilevskiy and all these guys, it was amazing. And yeah, I'm just really, really grateful for the opportunity that I had there, and the chance to, wear that jersey, playing the NHL, and fulfill my childhood dream. So yeah, it was incredible.
First one, did you get family out, or what walk me through what your memories are of that first one? It's funny because when I started this, I'm like, oh yeah, we talked to you before. And for some reason I was thinking it was right after. So that's my bad.
No, it's great. Yeah, I had family and friends kind of come periodically throughout. I had two kind of separate stints. Obviously, the big one at the start of the year was up for a few months, and then actually finished the year there, and then was there for the playoffs as well. So again, had more, family and friends come to that stretch as well. So I was able to play games in both, parts of the season, and really felt like I progressed with every game, and showed that I was able to compete and succeed at the NHL level. So it was really encouraging to have the chance, and then also for it to go, extremely well, where I feel really good about, how things were at and how they progressed.
Now, hopefully I'm not going to embarrass myself here, but was first one or one of them Montreal?
My first win was in Montreal. Yeah. So my first game was in Ottawa, and then I won my first game at the Bell Center a few weeks later. So
I was recently in Montreal, and if you haven't been there, folks, I live in a quote unquote hockey city, and it is nothing compared to Montreal. As soon as you get off the plane, people ask you about hockey, right? So to get your first win in Montreal, what's that like, man? They're legends in the rafters.
It was incredible. And it was the second game of back-to-backs, and it was an optional skate in the morning. So there's only a few of us out there. So I remember kind of doing a couple laps around. It was actually my first time ever being in the building, period. So was out, looking at the rafters and looking at the Patrick Waugh banner and all these things. So incredible place to play. Never mind get my first win. And I was actually fortunate. I got to play there again and won another game there. So I got to play there twice. And yeah, both are just, highlights of my career up to this point for sure.
What do you take from the time spent around that? You got a chance to work with Franz, who's, one of the greats, but also your time around Andre. He's not necessarily an open book with us, but anytime I've had a chance over the past couple of years, we've gotten into the weeds a little more. And he seems like a really passionate goalie guy.
He's incredible. He was unbelievable to have as a goalie partner. I learned so much from him, and you're so right. He's very quiet to the outside world, but when you're with him one-on-one and you're working with him and your goalie partners with him, you can just take so much away from how he approaches every day, approaches every game. He's such a competitor, obviously incredible at what he does, one of the best in the world. And just being able to watch him, work with him, and see how he approaches the game, see how him and Franz work together, that was invaluable to me, and just something I'll never forget for the rest of my hockey career. Never mind the rest of my life. Being able to see just some of the best in the world do what they do and masterclass. So really cool.
What was there anything that stands out about the way he approaches certain things, or is it just big picture stuff, the work rate, the work ethic, or is there anything specific that you're like, hey, I hadn't thought of doing it that way, or in general that you're like, this is something I will do forever?
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that he does so uniquely, and I'm sure all the goalie nerds know that he's the only one in the world that can do it. So there was a couple things I tried.
There's some physical gifts that the rest of us just don't have.
Exactly. So a couple I tried and realized really quick that it's not going to work for me. But the big thing that stood out to me was technically how precise he was. And I really noticed this when he was coming back from his back injury. When he started skating and he started his approach, it wasn't just let's go out for a skate and get a sweat. It was so precise as far as how he was set, how he was square. You watch him playing, you see all the tiny little micro shuffles, and he cares so much about that, and he approaches it so well that if he ever does get beat, he's almost like, what just happened there? What went wrong? And the way he approaches every single rep is the biggest thing that stood out to me, where like he doesn't want to get beat ever. And, that's, human element. Of course, as goalies, you understand that, hey, if I'm out for a practice or I'm out for a game, I'm going to get beat, where he's like, I don't want to get beat ever. I want to stop every single puck, and I'm upset if I don't. So
I compete.
The compete is, it's off the charts, and just watching it every single day, you realize like, okay, this guy's one of the best in the world for a reason.
Okay, so we have some mutual friends that I think you work with in the summer. I'd like to know a little bit, like James Wendland and the work you've done with him in terms of physically and your body. Some of the, I'm assuming some of the footboard work. How is that? Walk me through sort of what that's looked like and how it's manifested in your game. How you think it's helped you?
Yeah, I was extremely lucky to run into James and meet him by happenstance there before my first season with Tampa, and was referred to him from Lyle Mass, another mutual friend of ours. And yeah, just working with him was incredible. Like so many things that foundationally now I just carry with me every single day. And
can you give me an example? Like, because we've had a bunch of the stuff on the website, and I think sometimes it's funny. I got a few that NHL guys are like, oh man, like my hips, if I do that, are unreal. And then we have kids that read the website and I don't think they realize how key some of this stuff is.
Yeah. So the big thing for me, when I first met James, actually, I had gone to him. I was having some issues with my back, and that's kind of what started the whole thing, where, I learned so much about all the footwork and kind of the whole body alignment and everything that goes into it. So the big things that have stood out for me that I've carried with me today are all the footwork, which I think is incredibly important for goalies, and a lot of the stuff that's been able to keep my back, very healthy. So was always having back issues up until I met James. And there's so many things that I had just not considered as an approach to, day-to-day maintenance. And now it's just part of my daily routine with, warming up and all the correctional work and making sure everything's aligned. So yeah, it was a blessing to meet him for sure. And love seeing him in the summers and being able to work with him. And it's a lot of fun. And then now obviously it's taken a lot more of an approach now to like goalie specific with the tracking and the balance and stuff like that. So I'm sure you guys have gone over that. I've seen you guys go over that a lot.
So like with the balls and the goggles.
Exactly. Which I think, ties into Lyle's approach too. And that's been so important for me where, like I said earlier, with my approach now to the game, simple is better for me. And, the tracking aspect is so important, always has been for me. But now that I have actual tools where I know if it's going well or not, and tools of how to correct that if I feel off with my tracking, that's been the biggest thing. So I approach it every day with, trying to dial in the eyes and get warmed up and make sure that, my head and neck is working the right way. And yeah, it's just done wonders for me and being able to track the puck.
Are you a goggles guy?
I am, yeah.
So and how do you, we're just going to let the Zamboni go by here. We're at Abbotsford Ice Center, and now the Rogers Forum, I believe.
Yeah.
So there it's gone. How do you use them? Just out of curiosity, because I've started using them. I will take them out in warmups, and I had a 2-time Stanley Cup winner as we were finishing warmups just skate up to me and go, "Kid, you got something on your face there, kid." But so I'm willing to swallow the pride. But how do you use them? Just warm up stuff, or do you take them on the ice too?
The odd time I'll take them on the ice, but more so warm up. And if I have them on the ice, it's primarily skating.
Yeah.
So I actually don't wear them anymore for, seeing actual shots. I found it helps so much with getting my head forward and down at the right position. And then more so being when I snap the head and if I'm going side to side and, pushing, that if I have the goggles on, everything kind of comes with it, and hands and stick and upper body and everything rotates just perfectly. So I'll do that when I warm up, wear them occasionally, but then more so off the ice, a lot of it tracking with the racket balls and all the classic goalie stuff. So it doesn't take much now. And that was kind of the biggest sell for me when, Lyle was introducing them to me, was that this isn't a 20 minutes a day kind of thing. Like, wear them for a couple minutes, just calibrate, do the odd thing with them for a few minutes and you're good to go. And that couldn't be more true, where I throw them on and I feel exactly that. Like, hey, now I'm centered. I feel like my eyes and head and neck are all working together, and then it translates onto the ice.
I was going to say the beauty to me is learning a lot of the tracking stuff. There could be a tendency to go out there and think about it and sometimes exaggerate it. Yeah. The goggles just sort of snap you to it and make it instinctual almost.
Absolutely. And a big thing that actually happened last year working with the goggles specifically was I'd realized that, my back was coming, my back angle was really, really forward and to the ice.
So pinching at the hips, I'm guessing.
Pinching at the hips. And then the bigger thing was then my neck was jammed up. So I'd find as pucks would get closer, I'd kind of get locked up and I wouldn't be able to track it. So now that I have a, back more of at a 90-degree angle to the puck at all times, then I'm able to track using my chin come down and into saves. And the example I would always watch last year with Joseph Woll, I think he does an outstanding job at tracking the pucks and being a head first kind of guy, chin down, chin to the puck, however you want to phrase it. So I'd watch him, and that was a big thing I noticed with him. He never really get like super hinged, and he was always, able to go head first and snap his head into tracking the pucks really well. So that's a big thing for me. It was, focusing on the stance so that my tracking, I have all of it. I have access to use 100%.
And I just watched you doing a drill with Kelly Gard, and we were just talking about, and we'll have that up at ingoalmag.com, but just the compete too. So taking that, not losing the structure, but making sure, like Vasilevskiy, you don't lose that compete.
That's the biggest thing. Like we can talk foundations all the day and structure and, fundamentals. And at the end of the day, like watch any hockey game, like if a goalie doesn't have compete, like you get in trouble. It can't just be all structure. You see guys get away with it at certain levels, but as the game picks up, guys get more skilled. You have to be able to compete and adapt on the fly, or else you get burned, you get in trouble really quick.
Has there been a learning curve coming to the West too, like at the American League level? New shooters, new teams, like we talked yesterday, there's not a lot of crossover until you get to like basically the Cup final, Calder Cup final. You don't see these guys. Been a process, like systems, coaching styles? Definitely.
Obviously, when you're at different levels in the American League, you're seeing the same teams all the time. So like, I came out West. I'd never played out here at all, other than, I played a couple teams the odd time, but looking at lineups, I don't know a single guy sometimes. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? So there's been a lot more of an approach of, hey, Gardo, can you tell me about their tendencies? What do they do off the rush? Where their power play looks, and kind of learning about, different guys and how they approach the game. So yeah, it's been a fun learning curve for sure. All new players, all new, teams and systems and everything. But yeah, it definitely keeps me on my toes for sure.
A lot of video then? Is that still a tool? Like, and can you learn to read the game better? Like, as much as we talk about how we hold our body and how we move, at the end of the day, the position requires anticipation.
Yeah. And I've actually never been like a big video guy. I've never been like before games, breaking down everything of every single team. But now I've actually found that, like I said, I'll look at a lineup sometimes and I don't know a single guy. So that's a pretty hard approach as a goalie, where you're like, I don't know who the shooters are. I don't know who's going to be on the power play. I don't know anything about.
Even in beer league, we get to figure it out. Yeah. You're totally flying blind.
Yeah, so that's been a big help with Gardo. He's put together all their scoring chances before every game. And, I'm starting to pick up different tendencies as we, continue to play a lot of the same teams. But for example, last night, we're playing Abbotsford. I've never played them. Knew a couple guys on their team. But yeah, I had no idea about how they approached and what they like to do structurally or tendencies. So definitely a lot more time with video and making sure that, I'm as prepared as I need to be and ready, so that the anticipation and just kind of the natural flow of the game can take over, and I'm not, worried about everything that's going on and having no clue of what to expect.
Any other big adjustments coming? I mean, was it easy coming home, or did you feel extra pressure going into camp, wearing a jersey that you grew up sort of like? Was it different in any way?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. It was obviously the most exciting, contract I've ever signed, with family and friends, and being able to share that news with them when it came up, and obviously really encouraged about the opportunity to be able to play there and play in front of family and friends, and got to play a couple preseason games that they were able to come out with too. So that was just kind of
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool, and just maybe a little bit of a teaser as far as what could come in the future with being able to play meaningful games for them. And yeah, hopefully that opportunity comes. I'll be ready if it does come. But yeah, just a really, special opportunity for me, and would always have been, a dream to wear the Oilers jersey. And, now I'm one step closer to doing that. So it was, really, really amazing opportunity.
Was your guy growing up, was there an Oilers guy growing up that was like your guy?
it's kind of a mixed bag. Like, obviously, was very fortunate growing up. I went to a ton of Oilers games, but my guy was Patrick Waugh.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was kind of Avalanche fan, Oilers fan. Yeah, of course, going to Oilers games growing up in Edmonton, hard not to always have cheered for them. So yeah.
Oh, I can't look. Like I said, can't wait to see it in the regular season. Thank you so much for spending the time with us today and catching up. It's always great to see you.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's always a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Double feature with the NHL Sense Arena feature interviews this week with Connor and Matt. And now they are a tandem that has great promise and looks like they will be the tandem for the next little bit, given that the Oilers are carrying their 3 goaltenders. Anything you want to say about that, Hutch? No? Well, you had a lot to say chirping me going into your parent segment.
What?
I wasn't chirping you. I was just trying to give you another tool how to navigate things.
I wonder, I mean, honestly, if you're the Oilers, in addition to having 3 goalies in the NHL and not wanting to risk losing any of them, you also probably didn't want to mess this up by sending one down. Like, if you did, because Ingram didn't, they could have sent him down without requiring waivers. Now you've got 3 in the American Hockey League. They could have sent Pickard down, risk losing him. But if they didn't lose him, now you've got 3 in the American Hockey League. And given how well both of the guys have played down there, is that something they want as well? So, like the travel's a little different, the ice is a little bit so I don't know. I wonder if that played a bit of a role in the decision as well. Like, we've got a really good thing going in Bakersfield as well. It's so funny. An organization that didn't, there were questions about goaltending depth and decisions for the longest time. And now they've got a glut of guys who are having success.
All or nothing, just like your kids with the radio or the TV. It's either super loud or you can't hear it as parents. It's all or nothing.
That's Darren's parent segment brought to you by...
Yes, that. Well, I got something to say about that. Can you turn it down? Well, it's only at 14. We never did that either. We never judged volume on numbers.
I've got that because of a grandparent in the house.
I got one TV that goes to 25, 14's mid-pack. The other one, it goes to 100. I don't know what 14 it'd be, if you could even hear it. So you've lost me completely. I'm an old.
Same with charging your phone. My phone's only at 56. I'm like, well, that's like half charge. Can we not use that as the assessment of how charged your phone is?
Says the guy with 100%
Cranky
on
Pants
his
getting
hat.
upset about his kids charging their phones now.
Well, just I wear them at 100% hockey.
You are having a day there, Mister.
I know.
75%.
I gotta find some positivity.
How can you get off a call with Marty Biron and not be smiling?
I am. I don't know what's going on with me today.
Hutch, we dragged him down.
What he finally got to me.
I broke him. It had to happen
have a
eventually.
show with 3 guys smiling, can we?
No. And we don't even make it up. It's not like it's scripted.
Nope.
Three. That's because 3 is 3. No. 3 doesn't work, right? Like, Darren's just upset. He's looking at the screen. He's got 3. He only sees 2 spots on his. It's like having 3 goalies on the ice. He's flustered.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of InGoal Radio, the podcast brought to you by The Hockey Shop, source for Sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Send us your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe and like the podcast. Love your feedback. So let us know what you're thinking about guests, about topics, about reactions to what we said, the 3 goalie system. Let us know. We are here and ready to communicate with you on InGoal Radio, the podcast brought to you by The Hockey Shop, source for Sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Be well.